Hello viewers, in this lesson we look at advanced strategies for maintaining positional balance in drafts. Maintaining positional balance in drafts involves managing your pieces to control key squares, limit weaknesses, and create potential attacking opportunities. Here I will offer you some tips to help you achieve positional balance in a game, and we shall also apply some of these tips in a game to help you understand the concepts. So let's get started. To help you achieve positional balance, number one is center control. Now, the center of the board is very important when you are playing the draft. So your focus is to control the center because the center gives your pieces more mobility and flexibility. So it is very important that when you are playing the draft, you take control of the center, especially square 27 and then 34 and then adding 33 are very important key squares at the center you have to control. So in playing the draft, you develop your pieces towards the center of the board. So your pieces must move towards the center of the board because the center is very important. So that is one key thing you need to understand when you want to balance your position or you want to build a positional balance in a game. So later, when you want to attack, this piece can move to 30 or 29 depending upon the position of your opponents. And then later, you can take control of square 24 when you are attacking. So when you are attacking, it is good to have a piece at 24 and then 27. And this should be supported with 28, a piece at 28. So to maintain a positional balance, for instance, if you have a piece at, let's say, 37, you should also have a piece at 39. Or you move this piece to square 39 so that the position will have to balance. So a piece at 37 should be balanced with a piece at 39 and then connected with a piece at 34 or 44. If you look at this position as an example, we see the piece at 35 is supported by the piece at 45, and that of 33 we have 43, and 31 we don't have any piece here. So the move you have to make here is to play 46, 41. We move 46 to 41 so that we have a balance of our position, so that our position should balance. This position is now balanced. If you want to make the next move should be 45, 40. We move 45, 40 so that the pieces at the corner should move towards the center of the board. And in maintaining positional balance, you have to be mindful of controlling the center of the board. You focus on controlling the central squares of the board as these provide the greatest influence over the game. By occupying and controlling the central squares, you limit your opponent's options and create opportunity for advancing your own pieces. So it is very important that when you are balancing your position, your attention should be on controlling the central squares. So this move here, the piece at 45 should move to 40 so that your pieces should have more mobility and flexibility. We move this piece to 40. Then the next move we can make is to play 41, 37. This piece can continue to 32, or we can also play 40, 34. And then later we play 37, 32. And this all depends on where your opponent plays. So this move to 27 and then 33 can also move to 28, and the piece at 43 can move to 38. If you look at the piece at 27 is balanced by the piece at 34. So it is balanced by the piece at 34 and 35. The same also applies to the piece at 28. The piece at 28 is balanced by the piece at 34 and 35. So if you draw the square diagram, we see the key positions surrounding the vertices of the square. As we have a piece at the vertex here, then the key squares surrounding this should have a piece either at 34 or 24 to have a balance. So we can use the square diagram to check the position of our pieces to maintain a balance of our pieces. As we have a piece at the vertex of the square at 27, we can balance it using the key squares of the second vertex of the square. So you balance it using the key squares of the vertex of the square. As we have a piece at 27, we can also have a piece at 24. We can have a piece at 24 or 23 as an outpost. So when playing the game, it is very important that your pieces are well connected and they have a very strong formation. We also need to avoid isolated pieces. In trying to maintain a balance of your position, you need to establish a strong and flexible pawn structure that supports your pieces and provide a solid foundation for your position. Avoid creating weaknesses in your pawn structure that could be exploited by your opponents. So let's say if you have a piece here, now if you draw the square diagram, the piece at 26 will be used as a reference. The piece at 26 here should be supported or connected or balanced using the piece at 33 because the vertex of the square at 28 is surrounded by these key squares. We can also have a piece here to make sure this piece is connected. But we have a piece here which connects it, and we also have a piece here which should be connected with the piece at 26 so that we have a balance of our position. You can also use the double square to maintain the positional balance of your position. At the vertex of the square diagram, we have square 30 here, the vertex 30 here, which is surrounded by these key squares. As we have a piece here, we can also have a piece at 24 or 25 to have a balance. We can have a piece at 25 or 24 to have a balance, or 23. We can have a piece at 23 over here. Alright, so I believe you can apply the square diagram to maintain positional balance in your games. With this, there are several examples which you need to know, but with practice you'll be able to master them. We'll take an example game and then we'll see how the pieces are connected. And this largely also depends on where your opponent plays or the squares that your opponent takes. We'll be looking at some of these in the game and then I will be explaining all these points. Now, the second one has to do with how evenly you distribute your pieces on the board. We look at this. So you need to balance your pieces between the left and right sides of the board to maintain flexibility. So this is a way of distributing your pieces. So this is effective way you distribute your pieces on the board. Instead of packing the pieces on one side of the board, you need to have a balance between your pieces so that this piece can move to 27 and this can also move to 30 and then 33 can move to 27. So this is how we distribute the pieces on the board. So you have to be mindful of how you distribute your pieces on the board. And then the third one is keeping your pieces mobile. Let's look at the third one. So the third one has to do with how well you keep your pieces mobile. Now, you need to avoid blocking your pieces with other pieces or pawns. So if you look at black position, the piece at 12 is blocked by the piece at 18 and 14. So this piece is immobile, it's not mobile. So that makes the position very weak. So if you look at the position here, we see two of white pieces at 27 and 28 blocking three of black pieces over here. When playing, you must know how to arrange your pieces so that you don't you don't block your pieces, you don't make your pieces immobile. So you need to keep them mobile to respond to changing situations. The fourth one has to do with blocking opponent pieces. So you need to place your pieces to block opponent pieces from advancing or controlling key squares. So with this one, white has to move to 27 to block the piece at 17 from advancing to the center. So you need to block the opponent pieces from advancing and then preventing them from taking key squares. The fifth one is to create pawn chains. You have to create pawn chains or build pawn chains. That is row of pieces. So you need to create a row of pieces to control key squares and limit opponent movements. And mind you that when you are building the chain of pawns, they need to be supported so that your opponent doesn't take advantage of the empty squares behind the pieces. So you need to create this chain to be able to limit your opponent from advancing. The sixth one has to do with maintaining the balanced pawn structure. So your pieces need to work together. Avoid isolated pieces or weak pieces. So this piece here, because it is isolated, it doesn't have any support, it can easily be captured by black by playing either 14-20 or 14-19 to capture this piece, because the piece here has no support. It has no support. So this is an isolated piece. So when you are playing the draft, you make sure the pieces are supported. Even before you move to 27, you make sure you have a piece at 39, 40, and then 38 before this piece can move to square 27, so that if your opponent try to capture it, you can support it. It can be supported. And then in playing the draft, you need to also monitor your opponent position. You pay attention to your opponent piece development, pawn structure, and potential weaknesses so that you take advantage of your opponents. And then you must also be prepared to adapt your strategy as the game unfolds and new opportunities or challenges arise. So we'll look at a game and then we see how these tips can be applied in a game so that you get a better understanding of how all this works. All right, so let's look at the game. White opened the game by playing 34-30. Black responded with 18-29. And then white moved to square 25. And I believe you know why this move was made. So you use the square diagram. So you see that white can move to square 25. Then black responded with 17-21. White has to squeeze the piece at 21 by playing 31-26. Then black played 13-18. So they traded pieces and then black moved to square 21. Now, usually when you have this piece this way, the idea is to control square 27. The intention of black is to control 27. So white has to move to square 31 to prevent this move. And again, if you use the square diagram, we see that 26, 27, 37, 36 are key squares. So white can move to 31 to take control of all these key squares. And then black responded with 7-12. White played 33-28. And again, if we look at the key square for the piece at 12, we have 28, 27, 37, and 38. So white decided to move to square 28 by playing 33-28. Black responded with 20-24. And then white moved to 33 by playing 39-33, moving to the center of the square, moving to the center of the square. Black played 8-13, white has to move to 26. So white played 31, and then if you look at the square diagram, so we see that the 26, 27, 36, 37 are key squares. So white can move to 26 to take control of the key squares here. And then again, as black moves to 21, white can play 37, 31. 37, 31 is played. And then black responded with 1-7. White played 31, 27. So with the square diagram, so white can take charge of 27. Now, as we have seen, white has taken control of 27, 28. So, as I said, controlling the center is key in draft. So it is very important that when you are playing the draft, you control. So if you look at black too, black has control over 24, 23, and it has a piece at 21. So what white has to do is to also have control of 34, as we have seen in the tips. So white will have to control 34. As white has a piece at 27, he must also control this piece, but white has to be patient in doing that. Then black played 7-12. White responded with 41-37. 41-37. The 37 here, if you draw the square diagram, the 37 is a key square here. 39 is also a key square. So white can decide to play 44-39 or 41-37. So white played 41-37. And then black responded with 14-20. And then when you draw the square diagram, you have the double square. We see this position. We have a piece here, and then we have a piece here. And this piece at 40 is surrounded by 45 and then 44. Then when you come here, you have 42, 43 surrounding this piece here. But here, we don't have any piece at 36. So we need to move this piece to 41 so that you have a balanced position over here. White has to play 46, 41. And then black responded with 10-14. White played 40, 34. Now white has taken control of 34. So as we have seen, 27, 28, 34 has been taken. Black exchanged the pieces. Then white maintains the position over here. 34 is maintained. Black played 15-20. White moved to 30. And black played 5-10. White moved to 25. Again, if you want to understand the reason white moved to 25, here we see that the vectors here are surrounded by the key squares over here. So white can decide to move to 25. Then black played 21-26. White responded with 41-36. And then black played 4-9. White played 43-39. Black played 10-15. White played 37-31. If you want to understand, again, if you draw the square, white can remove this piece at 26. Black responded with 20-24. White played 49-43. Black removed the piece at 25. And then white played 44-40. Black responded with 12-17. White played 47-42. Black responded with 17-21. White moved to 33. And then black played 21-26. White moved to 39. 39. represent the center of the second square. So white can take 39 to control the 4 key squares over here. The exchange was made. So we see that still white is maintaining the center square here over the key square 27 and then 28. Black also maintains the position over here. Then black responded with 39. White played 40, 34. As we can see, if you draw the square, we see that 34 here is a key square. So white can move to 34. Then black traded pieces. Then white moved back to 44. Black played 15, 20. White responded with 38, 33. Black played 20, 24. White responded with 48, 43. Black removed the piece at 33, the center. You have this position. Black moved to square 24. White played 44, 40. If you look at the position, 40 here is a key square. So white moved to 40 to control the key square over here. Black played 30, 35. White moved to 34. Black played 18, 23. White moved to 33. And then black played 9, 13. White played 50, 44. And then black played 8, 12. White moved to 39. Played 43, 39. And then black sacrifices a piece and then later try to capture it, and white will need to play 23, 19. Black captured the piece to square 13. Now white will have to move to 28. Black played 12, 19. White takes square 29. Black played 17, 21. White exchange pieces. Black moved to square 26. And then white takes square 24. If you draw the square, you see that 24 is a key square here, so white can move to 24. Black plays 16, 21. White takes control of square 23. Black exchange pieces. White move to 19. If you draw the square, white can move to 19. And then black played 13, 18. And if you draw the square again, we see that 31 is a key square, so white can play 36, 31 to send the piece at 37 back to 26. And then white can move to king, and the game will end in a draw. So this is how we play the game, and you need to avoid isolated pieces. You need to keep your pieces together, let your pieces work together, connect them, and then balance the position of your pieces. As we have seen it, we can use the square diagram to make sure the position around the vertices or the key squares surrounding the vertices of the square are well balanced. So you look at one side of the vertex and then the other side of the vertex to see whether the pieces surrounding the vertices are balanced. So you need to keep in mind of how you play the game and balance your position to have a very good game. So by implementing these advanced strategies, you can effectively maintain positional balance in your draft and increase your chances of success in the game. Keep practicing and refining these techniques to enhance your strategic abilities and become a more formidable draft player. Thank you. In our next lesson, we'll be looking at advanced tactical ideas every draft player must know. So keep watching my videos. Thank you very much, and see you in my next lesson.